Cindy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, Cindy.
Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. I'm Cinde Warmington. I am the Democratic nominee for the District 2 Executive Council seat, and happy to be with you here tonight. I would bring 40 years of healthcare experience to the Executive Council at a time when we have no one on the Executive Council with a healthcare background, despite that it is most of our state budget and we are in the middle of a pandemic. Many of you may or may not know what the Executive Council does. If you don't know, you are in the majority of New Hampshireites. This is the single question that any Executive Council candidate answers most frequently is, what does the Executive Council do? And its primary responsibility is to act as a check on the governor by reviewing and approving all state contracts over $10,000 and all nominees for state agency heads, boards, and commissions, and also all judicial nominations. So it's a critically important role. It's particularly important right now as we are recovering from COVID. And while we have an open Supreme Court seat, one of the most important things that executive counselors do. I came to New Hampshire with my first job out of college to take a job in the laboratory at Lakes Region General Hospital. I was a phlebotomist to put myself through school, then a lab tech and a hospital business office manager, a hospital laboratory manager, and then I went to law school and became a healthcare lawyer, and I chair the health law section at Shaheen and Gordon, and I've been doing that for the last 20 years. So I'm happy to be with you all tonight and look forward to working with you as we move forward and hopefully when I'm elected on the Executive Council.
So Cindy, one of the candidates, she's still there? One of the candidates had discussed the merger of two health insurance companies in New Hampshire and how that limits the choice. And secondly, the Executive Council has to vote on what insurance companies can bid to pick up the state Medicaid insurance. Is that correct?
There is a process by which, yes, that health insurers bid for the Medicaid managed care contracts. Currently, we have 3 providers of Medicaid managed care contracts. Those are some of the biggest contracts that come before the Executive Council, a total about $1 billion. And again, that's why we really need somebody with a healthcare background on the Executive Council. Those are contracts that I would hope to dig into and start asking a lot of questions. One of the things that I've talked about throughout the campaign is that right now, the Executive Council receives its contracts on Friday night and votes on them on Wednesday morning. And there's really not much of an opportunity to ask questions at a point in the contracting process when it can really make a meaningful difference. But what we've been talking about is getting into the agencies earlier, before the RFPs are even issued, and letting the agencies know what kinds of things that we would like them to ask in the RFPs. That's the request for proposals, so that once the contract comes to us, those questions will have been answered and we will have answers to the things that we think are important, and we can make a meaningful difference through the contracting process. Right now, one of the things that's really most critical that's before the Executive Council is an open Supreme Court seat. And that has an impact on healthcare in this state as well, because many of you may know that there is a challenge before the United States Supreme Court that may very well overturn the Affordable Care Act. And this issue of people in New Hampshire having healthcare will be squarely in our legislature and then before our Supreme Court. So the nomination to the Supreme Court is just a critically important part of making sure that healthcare is delivered to the people of New Hampshire.
Assume that things go against the Affordable Care Act and it's dismantled. What would you do, or what authority would you have on the Executive Council to do anything about it?
So the Executive Council is not a policy-making body, so it's really the responsibility of the Senate candidates and the House candidates that you've been interviewing here tonight. And the role of the executive council is one where we review the contracts and the nominations. So specifically with respect to this issue, the nominations of, say, the Commissioner of Health and Human Services and the Medicaid Director of Health and Human Services and other key appointments in Health and Human Services is important. It's important that we ask the right questions and make sure that we end up with people in those positions who are committed to the mission of the agency. And for me, that they're committed to delivering healthcare for all and expanding access to healthcare. Healthcare is my life's work, and I have been fighting for 40 years for a recognition of healthcare as a basic human right. And that is the lens through which I would see those nominations. Also, nominations to our court is going to make a big difference. And one of the key issues that's coming up is we have a huge hole in our budget. And of course, the legislature is going to have their role to play with respect to the budget. But what we're going to see is that there's going to have to be a reallocation of funds right now to fill that hole. And how those funds are reallocated is key, and it comes before the Executive Council. So the Executive Council plays a key role in making sure that we're delivering health care.
Well, Cindy, thank you for taking time tonight. Would you like to leave any last thoughts with the Franklin area voters?
I would just like to say I would very much be honored to receive your vote on November 3rd. If you would like a yard sign, please go to cindewarmington.com. If you'd like to volunteer, please go to cindewarmington.com. It's C-I-N-D-E, that's Cindy with an E, my mother's doing, and Warmington, like the opposite of cool. Not that I'm not cool, but Warmington. Thank you all.
Thank you, Cindy.